Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for coming today. This is a class I kind of put together. It basically comes from a lot of different trainings that I've been to, a lot with Keller Williams, a lot of other stuff, John Maxwell stuff, and I just kind of was kind of coming up with a plan when I was bringing new agents in. When I was the team leader, I'd be bringing new agents into the office, and some of them didn't know where to start. So I basically kind of started sharing with them how to build a successful real estate business. And what came around and from doing that is I was like, okay, well, really it's 6 things. So I wrote those down and I started using that for a while. And then I decided to put it in a PowerPoint and then teach it as a class. And then I realized there was one more step, but it was a small step. So that's where the half came in. So I changed it to 6.5 steps to build a successful real estate business. And that's kind of where this class came from. And it's one of my favorite things to teach because I am so, it's 6.5 things that if you do this in this order and you're purposeful around it, you will have success in this business. I'm confident of that because I did it halfway, and I've had some success in the real estate business by doing this. But if somebody wants to know where to start, these are the steps. And sometimes you get to step 3 and then you digress and you got to go back to step 2 because you need step 2 to make 3 happen at a high level. You need step 3 to happen to make 4 at a high level. And that all makes sense as we go through this. So just a little bit about, let's see here, we get this PowerPoint going. Just a little bit about just kind of my background and kind of where I came from. I was born here, born and raised. I went to Indiana University Southeast, got a communication degree. I didn't know what I was going to do. I graduated high school with a 1.9 or 1.7 GPA. I entered college on probation, and I just wasn't a good student in high school. And I was just kind of clueless. And then I went and took a career placement class in my first year that was required being on probation to figure out what I wanted to do. And it kind of gave you study help and stuff. And I took I think it was one like a behavioral assessment. And that's where I learned about a communication degree. And I was like, a class about talking with people and relationships. I was like, sign me up. And it was awesome. One of the best. So figured that out. And then I went into youth ministry after that. And did that for 5 years and did that part-time through college. So I had about 10 years under my belt doing that. And then I decided to do something else. And I didn't know what that was, but I left that role, sold my house, did a trip out west for 3 months. And I was open to doing whatever. And then how I got into real estate was I decided I was coming home, and then after I came home, I needed to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So I had no clue. So I saw Barnes & Noble, and I'm like, I'm gonna go in this Barnes & Noble in Flower Mound, Texas. I'm gonna walk around the different topics in the bookstore. I'm gonna see if I can figure out what I'm passionate about. And I stopped in front of the real estate section, and I was like, okay, I get to work with people, which utilizes my communication skills. I get to make my own hours. I get to be my own boss. The harder I work, the more I can be rewarded. I'm going to be a realtor. So that's how I decided to become a realtor, just walking into Barnes & Noble on a trip. And then I came back, took a 2-week course, and joined a local company here. Was there for about 6-7 years. And it was just, I was just working myself to death. It was back in 2002, 3, 4. And I just couldn't handle I was just a single agent. And I knew there was a better way to do it. And I was just stressed out all the time. I couldn't sleep. I wasn't calling people back. And that's when Keller Williams came to the area, to our market. And I went to a class on how to build a successful real estate team for leverage. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I need. And then they ended up hiring me as the team leader of the first Keller Williams office, this office. So I did that for 5 years, and then went in, I decided I wanted to get into sales again. So I became the broker, got back into sales, started building my team. And I just followed the model, the organizational model. You hire your first assistant, then a second assistant, and then buyer's agents, and then all the way up to the 7th level. And it was exciting. It kind of turned it it reinvigorated me because it kind of, I don't know, I see real estate as kind of a game. And we wake up every day in this game and we try to win. And you can be strategic about it. It's just, it's an exciting business to be a part of. It's a great business and it can be very lucrative. So that's what I want to talk to you about today, on how to make this business lucrative and what to do to make it lucrative. All right, we'll go to the next one, next page. All right, so a question I want you to ask yourself is just, it's kind of a focusing question. If it were 3 years from today, what would have to happen in your business and personal life, whatever, but in particular your business? This class is about building a successful business, which is going to lead to other great things. Being able to provide for your family, be able to do the things that you want to do, provide experiences, whatever that is. But just kind of think, 3 years from today, what would have to happen for you to be happy with your progress? Is that sell 36 homes a year? Is that selling 50 homes a year and hiring an assistant? Is it, whatever that might be? Is it I want to do a farming strategy and I want to build a farming strategy at a very high level and generate the majority of my business from that strategy? What is it that you want and for you to be happy? What's 3 years from today look like? If we were sitting here 3 years from today and you're like, wow, the past 3 years for my real estate business have been awesome. What does that look like? What happened in those 3 years? So a lot of KW courses, they start out with the 6 personal perspectives. Okay, this is different than the 6.5 steps, but I do like to go through the 6 personal perspectives because they're so important. Actually, this is the first time I've taught this class where I put this in it. We did this last couple weekends ago, didn't we, Amy? So what is it that differentiates those who achieve at the highest level from those who don't seem to accomplish as much? And I think it's, it's kind of these 6 perspectives that Gary and his team came up with. It's around mindset, it's around attitudes, and our approach to life. So those 6 steps are, you commit to self-mastery. So basically, I'm going to nail it and I'm going to master this. I'm committed. You're going to commit to the 80-20 principle. I'm going to focus on the most important things. I want to focus on my big rocks each day. I'm going to move from E to P. This is what got me whenever Meg Pinella sat down and I was banging my head trying to build a team, had no clue how to do it. No one can help me. And she taught me E to P. E to P is going from what's entrepreneurial, what's natural for you, to being purposeful. And you get purposeful by learning a system, learning a model, and implementing that model. And that's what I didn't know. I didn't know what the model was to build a team. Then I learned the model, then broke through that ceiling. And then I was on. But what's kind of crazy is once you break through one ceiling, there's always another ceiling. I think the key is get to that point where you're good. It's like, hey, there's a ceiling above me, but I'm good. I don't need to break through another one, So it's really whatever you want. You could pick. That's the great thing is, what you want to do in this business is your decision. So whether that's sell 20 houses a year or sell 1,000 houses a year, you get to make what that is and don't let other people and what other people are doing. That's good to see that stuff, but stay focused on what's important to you. That's other stuff is just noise. What is it you want? What is it you want to generate from this business and focus on that. Being learning based, the foundation of your action plan. Basically, I'm willing to be taught and I'm willing to pursue learning. That was one of the things, in pretty much 10 years, 11 years since I've been in this business. If there's a training in Cincinnati or Indianapolis, Columbus, I was there. Even when I wasn't the team leader. As a team leader, I had to go. But even when I wasn't the team leader, I still went because that's where I learned so fast. I love it. It's a slide I got in here. I can't remember what it is, so I'll tell you it whenever I get to that slide. But anyways, being learning based is so important. And then remove your limiting beliefs. Unlimit my thinking and my success. What is it? What do I want this to be? And I'm not going to put any limits on myself. And step 6 is you got to be accountable. You got to be accountable to yourself and take ownership. Okay, 6.5 steps. Here we go. All right, I found these 6.5. I love Google. You just type in 6.5 and you get images and you got these pictures with 6.5 on it. It's like, I had no idea I was going to be able to come up with a street sign that says 6.5. All right, so First step, get clarity. What's that mean? Okay. Get clarity around your life, or what we call your big why. Okay. Why do we do this? So the key here, and the first step is get crystal clear on why you want to sell real estate. You know, say, hey, I want to sell real estate because I want to make money and provide for my family. But what else? You know, start thinking about, what is my why? And if you don't know it right now, it's okay. You know, it took me a while to figure out what mine was. And that can also change. And if you make that why, then you've got to come up with another why maybe. So the key is to get clarity around why you're doing this business. Because if you wake up every day and you don't have a reason to sell real estate, and this is where also thinking big comes in. You know, if you're just, you know, hey, I just want to make enough money to, you know, live a good life and provide for my family, and I'm good. And that's great. You know, if that's it, that's awesome. I mean, that is, you know, it's your why is your why. But, you know, challenge yourself to think a little bigger. What if I did more sales, which gave me more funds? I could impact some charities. I can impact some people that need help. I can, you know, who knows, whatever you're passionate about or whatever is dear to your heart, you can, with money does a lot of good things, and you can help a lot of people. So I love, I don't know if anybody else has heard this, but I think it was owner of Patagonia, maybe. Has anybody heard this? One of these outdoorsy type of companies. And he's a, was it Patagonia? He's a billionaire, and he's, you know, he started this company because he was an earthy guy and he hiked and everything. He was listed on Forbes, one of the most wealthiest people in business, top 100 or something, and it pissed him off. He didn't like that. He just gave away all his money. And he probably kept enough, you know, maybe 200,000, 300,000 a year. Who knows? I'm sure he's still doing fine, but he gave away all that money to a charity that focuses on environment and everything that his company started from. You know, that's pretty cool. You know, you don't get to donate $1 billion unless you have $1 billion. So get clarity on what that is. Okay, why do we wake up every day? Why do we do what we do every day? What are we moving towards? What are we creating? We heard something on my guy trip I took. You know, it says, are you, and Todd posted it the other day, are you a creator or are you a consumer? Neither are bad, but it's just like, it's an interesting way to think. It doesn't have to be some massive event. It's your life, your why. The question is, do you have a plan to get where you want to go? Do you have a roadmap to get there? This is where the Goonies picture came in. As, you know, they're looking at a map. Know what you want. Clarity. Decide when you want it. Set a timeline around that. Okay, we've got lots of tools at KW. I'm doing it right now with all of our team to help them identify what their why is, and then create a plan to make it happen. But know what you want, decide when you want it, figure your plan of action, and then follow through on it, and never doubt. You know, a lot of times we spend more time planning our vacations than we do planning our life and where we want to be in 5 years, in 10 years. You know, I'll spend 10 hours cumulatively planning a trip to Disney World with my kids, and love every minute of that. But do I spend 10 hours every year planning out where I am, what I've accomplished, where I want to go, and what do I need to do next to get there? Probably not. And, you know, so I like teaching this class too, because it's a reminder to me every time I teach it. It's the same stuff that I need to hear over and over again. So step one is getting clarity is the most important part of building your real estate business and getting it to where you want to be. And we're in the business for many reasons. You know, a lot of us, we like working with people. We like houses and design. It's fun showing houses. But at the end of the day, probably the biggest is to make the income. So, but it's not about the money. It's about what the money can do. You look at these guys here. There's a documentary on the History Channel called The Men Who Built America. And it's about the Rockefellers, the Fords, the Carnegies. And, you know, they were some very wealthy people. I mean, hugely wealthy people. And what they do with their money? I'm sure they lived extravagant lives, but what they also did is they built hospitals, they built theaters, they built foundations that continue. You got the Ford Foundation. It's just a foundation that just the interest keeps growing and growing and growing, and they use those funds to donate to all these nonprofits that are doing great things within our community. All this started back in the 1800s from a vision and an idea of Henry Ford and what he wanted to create. So back to clarity. Getting clarity about your future can get you there 10 times as fast, because when you're clear on where you're going and what you want, you're going to want to, you're going to get there as fast as you can, and you're going to want to create a plan around it so you can get there and make that happen. This was the quote: "An hour of planning can save you 10 hours of doing." So if you plan for an hour, you can do a lot and accomplish a lot, as opposed to not planning and just kind of haphazardly doing things. Oh, I'm going to work an open house this weekend. Oh, I'm going to call for sale by owners next week. Oh, I'm going to try to look at the expireds and learn how to call expireds. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. As opposed to sitting down for an hour and say, what do I enjoy doing the most that can generate the most amount of leads? And I'm going to focus, I'm going to create a plan around that. I'm going to spend an hour and do that each week for 4 weeks, and then put a plan together. And then all of a sudden you're the best agent in Southern Indiana converting for sale by owners. Maybe it's for sale by owners. So planning is definitely gets you there. So clarity, so clear you can see it, feel it, touch it. You know, Gary Keller's quote says, "Make sure every day you do what matters most. When you know what matters most, when you know what matters most, everything makes sense. When you don't know what matters most, anything makes sense." So close you can taste it. And a goal without a plan is just a wish. So if you got a goal, whatever that goal is, and you don't create a plan to get there, it's really just kind of hope it happens, potentially. So you want to put a plan around it. So that was step one, is clarity. Step two is, after you're clear about what you want, is you've got to build the habits around everything to do with real estate. And you basically got to be disciplined about, what do I need to do? If I'm new in the business, heck, even if you've been in the business 15 years, half of us haven't been doing it right. Half of us haven't been doing it at the highest level. A lot of us have been doing it by accident, and the market's good. What if someone that's been in the business 20 years started out doing it purposefully and really being learning based and learning the best to do it and being committed, following the schedule, and they built their business like that? So the key, which is step two, is build your habits. Your habits will determine your future. So a question to ask yourself is, what are the habits you need to create and master to get where you want to go? What's a habit you think is important in real estate as a realtor? What's a habit? What's the most, I don't know, what do you think? Consistency. That's a good one. Consistency. Yeah. Right. Yeah. If you're consistent, you know, that's going to be key in real estate. Would you say, Hubert? Lead generation. Okay. Building a habit around lead generation. Yeah. I mean, that's key, you know. So one more. Yep. Yeah. So time blocking, you're going to see this is a key part of this class. Time blocking is key. So yeah, thank you. So inspiration, you can go to a class like this, hopefully I inspire you in some way, or you can go to family reunion and you're just so inspired, and you come back, and then after about 2 weeks, you know, it's kind of like, ooh, okay, I'm back into the grind. The inspiration wears off. It only lasts so long. You know, that's why they strategically put family reunion in February and a mega camp in August, because after family reunion, you're coming down, and then you're going through the summer. Then there's another jolt to kind of get you excited again. So that's done for a reason. But if you don't do that every year, but inspiration is just going to take you so far. But building the habits, that's what makes it all happen. So it says, forget inspiration. Habit is more dependable. Habit will sustain you whether you're inspired or not. And discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. If you're disciplined around the key things to build a business, then that's going to get you where you accomplished your main goal. So clarity, step one, build your habits and be disciplined, step two. And step three is the management of time. You've got to manage your time. The reason the habits is before the management of your time is the number one skill, the number one habit you have to create to build a successful business is the habit of time management. You've got to manage your time and control that time. And it doesn't just happen. It's going to take you a little bit, but so have you ever had that day where you went through the whole day and you get home and you're like, what did I even do today that moved me forward? Okay. That's an example of the day running you. Okay. So you either run the day. Okay, have you ever had that day where you're like, man, it was a good day today. I got a lot of stuff done. You know that evening at your home, when the day ran you and when you ran the day. That's where controlling your time is so key. This is an example, I kind of took this from Bold because during the Bold class, they talk about, the agent's perfect week. And I've got this up here, and this is just kind of a Google Calendar that I put. This would be a full-time agent, 40 to 45 hours a week doing real estate. And everything else, they may have a family, they may, do whatever, but this is an example of an agent's perfect week. The first thing you do in planning out your calendar is you plan the things you can't control. Can't control family reunion, you can't control mega camp. If those are important to your business, you put those on your calendar first. Things that, your family reunion, your personal family reunion, you can't change that, or your kid's birthday, so you can't change that. So you block those out first, then you block out personal time, okay? Because that's the most important. So then that's what's in red. So in this example, blocked out Saturdays, work open houses on Sunday, home before and after the open houses. And then the most important thing, what if you did this every single day? This is why it's perfect. What if you lead generated from 8:30 to 10:30 every single day for new business? Not just calling people you're already working with. That comes next. And then from 10:30 to 11:30, you do your follow-up. See, a lot of times we spend too much time because they're easy calls, they're warm calls, they're people we've already met with, they're kind of looking at houses. I'm going to check in with Barbara today. Hey, Barbara, how you doing? Just checking in. It's an easy call to make. But what we're not doing is we're not generating new business. So what if your time block schedule, you had two times. You had the time to generate new business, which is a little more scary, which is a little more challenging. And then you have the time to do your follow-up calls. Okay. You might flip it around because sometimes doing the easy calls first gets you in the groove and you enjoy it. And you're just kind of, okay, I've been talking on the phone for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Okay. Now let's call the FISBOs. Now let's call the database and just say, hey, I'm just checking in, seeing if you need any help with real estate in the next 6 months, if you whatever script, a lot of different scripts out there. So you block that out. What if you did that 5 days a week? Could you imagine what your business would be? But we don't, we get busy. That's where the big rocks are. So the big rock in real estate is an agent, a single agent on a team is your lead generation. Okay. And then hopefully you have, things in place, whether you've bought some things to generate leads your way. But don't just wait and hope something falls in your lap, or your team invests in stuff and they've got leads coming your way. You've got two business. You've got your own individual business, whether you're on a team or you're a single agent. If you're a single agent, yeah, that's your business. But if you're on a team, you've got your individual sphere, you've got your individual ability to generate, coupled with the leads that are coming in. Same thing with a single agent. You've done something to get some leads that are coming in, whether it's Facebook ads or something like that. And then also, creating a plan around your sphere. Okay. So you have your own business and that's the cool thing is you own your own business as a real estate agent. Got lunch in here. And then one of the cool things to do is preset your appointments. So this is what the blue is. These are preset appointments that are blank. Okay. And those are like that every day. And then when you're lead generating, a goal is to fill as many of those as possible. Well, if you go on 4 appointments a week, if you fill all those, holy cow, you're selling 200 homes. But if you sell, put 3 a week, or 4 a week, and then you can learn what you need to make the money you want to make by taking business planning clinic and understanding your economic model based on, I want to make this much money. So how many homes do I need to sell? How many listings do I need to take? All the way down to how many contacts do I need in order to get those appointments, to all the way down to how many dials do I need to make in an hour. But preset those. And then if you use Google, which I love, when you set the appointment, you just click on it and change the title, and then that's your appointment. And then you filled it at that time. So time blocking, time management, and blocking your time, your evenings off. So when you're going to be home on some evening, be with the family and different things. The bad news is time flies. The good news is you're the pilot, so you are in control. So step 1, clarity. Step 2, habits. Step 3, time management. And step 4 is you got to know what to say. You get licensed, you don't learn anything about what to say to a buyer or a seller in real estate. So, we call them scripts. Really, they're more conversations. I think it's kind of what we're getting to. Script sounds like something you're doing to somebody. A script is nothing more than a conversation. And, the script is the script, but the moment you internalize it and start making it more natural, it's really just a conversation. Here's Wayne and Garth. It's much more fun when you know the words to the song. Isn't it a lot more fun to roll your windows down and sing it as opposed to if you don't? And I'm horrible at understanding words, so I know no words to songs. So if you turn on the radio, I'm really just mumbling, but I feel like I'm singing the song. But it's fun. If you know the words, it makes it a lot more enjoyable. If we're not practicing that, if we don't have that a part of our week, and we're practicing on getting better on what to say to a for sale by owner, or let's say that lead comes in and then converting that lead. What if it was an $800,000 house and they called in and you've never practiced what to say to someone calling in on an $800,000 house and you screwed it up? That's a 10,000. I taught this class in Tampa, so I had to up it. $50,000 commission, okay? Because I'd never practiced on how to take an inbound call. I just lost $15,000 from my family because I fumbled or I didn't sound confident. I didn't go for the appointment because I've never practiced going for the appointment. What do you do? Okay. So block time in your week and practice inbound calls that come in. If you got sign calls coming in, or you've got different ways their calls are coming on your listings, what do you say to them? That's knowing your scripts. That's knowing what to say. We don't pass real estate school and you don't know what to say. Real estate's kind of backwards. Thank goodness doctors don't take a 2-week class and then start operating. They go to school for 12 years. Then they do apprenticeships, and then they serve under somebody and help doctors do surgeries. And then finally they step up to do surgeries and they're fully equipped. Real estate's backwards. You go to school for 2 weeks and then you go operate on helping people buy and sell houses and you don't know jack, okay? But that's the industry. It's industry, and that's okay because it allowed us to get in pretty easy. And it's still one of the most lucrative jobs that you can be in if you purposefully do it. Just some quotes, Bruce Lee: practice makes perfect. After a long time of practicing, our work will become natural, skillful, swift, and steady. When you practice scripts enough, at some point it's just internalized. You hear something and it's just, you know what to say. Vince Lombardi: practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Okay, so that's step 4. Clarity, habits, management of time, scripts. And 5th is just lead generation. It's using the scripts, okay? If you just skip 4 and don't know how to call, what are you going to say to for sub owner? You're going to call. That's the reason we don't lead generate. That's why agents don't lead generate, because they're not comfortable. We avoid it because we don't know what to say. Why? Because we didn't do step 4. If you need to generate more listings or you need to generate more buyers, don't just start lead generating. Spend some time, spend a week or 2 just studying scripts. Then you're prepared. Then you go convert because you know what to say. That's why scripts comes first. And that's why this comes in this order. And that's why sometimes you go backwards. If you don't manage your time, if you don't block your time to do scripts, well, you're not going to do scripts, because who wants to practice scripts? You know, I'd rather go to eat ice cream. So know what to say, but step 5 is lead generation. Now, I was real fortunate early on in my KW days when I was team leader. I was able to be on a call with Gary Keller, and he was talking to team leaders about Mega Camp, and he taught something on that call that I've never forgotten. And this really goes to really as an individual agent or an agent on a team doing sales, is the 6 pillars of real estate, 6 pillars of lead generation. And I'll explain what that is. But the thing is we don't sell houses as a real estate agent. Okay. That's just the byproduct. That's just what happens. If we don't have the lead, we don't get to sell the house. So our job as a realtor every single day is to generate that next piece, that next lead. The selling the houses just happens. You just need a motivated seller or a motivated buyer. So we don't really sell houses as realtors. We find leads and we find people who need houses. The rest just happens. Even if you don't know what you're doing, it just kind of happens. I remember my first closing. I had no clue what was going on. I had no clue how to write a contract. Someone helped me with it. And then I got under contract and I was like, wait a second, the loan officer's kind of taking care of a lot of stuff at this point. This is kind of nice. I was all scared because I had no clue what to do, you know? So, but the 6 pillars of lead generation basically is what Gary said is as an agent, you identify 3 large sources of real estate, 3 systems of lead generation you can identify. One may be for sale by owners. Really, the first one should be your database, your personal database. Okay. Second one may be, I want to be really good at for sale by owners. And the third pillar would be, I want to be really good at open houses. Okay. So what you do is it's a 5-year period. You take 5 years and you break down, you take your personal sphere, your database, and you spend a year and a half developing that system. First 3 months, you're researching database programs, or you're researching, you know, who you want to put in that database, what information you want, how you're going to categorize people, all those different things. And then you spend a year doing it, building out the program, your touches, your drips, your postcards going out to your sphere. You're doing all that stuff. And then the last 3 months, you fine tune it, just kind of clean it up, what worked, what didn't. And then all of a sudden, in a year and a half, you have a stream of income that is systematically throwing you off business that's set. And you just kind of not forget it, but you set it. And it's a system that's running and you're operating it because you focused on that one thing for a year. Not that you're not going to do an open house, not that you're not going to call a for sale by owner, but that's the one lead source. That's the first pillar that you choose, and you build that up at a high level. The next one, for sale by owners. So you got the pillar of your sphere in your database here, then you focus for a year and a half on for sale by owners. And you research what are top agents doing who focus on for sale by owners, and you learn from them. And then you develop your system. What script do I use? You know, right now, if I said, go call for sale by owner, do you know what script you would call and use? Good, that's awesome. Yeah, some people don't. I wouldn't know right now because I, haven't been practicing and different things. So, but basically spend the next year and a half building up your system at the highest level where you can kind of package it and say, hey, this is the for sale by owner plan that I use. And then that's going to start systematically throwing you off business because it's in your schedule, you're calling them, you got business from your database. And then the third one, your open houses, and you create a plan around open houses, when you're going to do them, what are you going to say, what are you going to give them, what, all those things. And then you built in 5 years, you built 3 major lead generation sources that are throwing off maybe 20 deals a piece each. All of a sudden you're at 60, you need to hire an assistant. And then that's not the other 3. Then Gary said you identify 3 other smaller sources. It may be, something a little smaller where you do a client event once, one time or 2 times a year. So you pick basically 6, but 3 big ones that's your main focus for the rest of your career, and then 3 other smaller ones. So that's what the 6 pillars of lead generation look like. And the 6th step is accountability. You've got to put something, what's going to hold you accountable to doing these things? Whether that's a peer partner, whether that's hiring a coach, whether that's someone on your team or two individual agents getting together, what's going to hold you accountable to really doing the things that you want to do? And I remember, I tell the story every time, but I remember one time I was meeting with an agent, wasn't even licensed yet. And I went over these 6 steps with that agent. And he said something that just blew my mind when I said, you got to identify something that holds you accountable. And he said, well, wouldn't number 1 be the thing that holds you accountable? That's deep. When you're so clear about your why, when you're so clear about what you want, that should hold us accountable. Because if we don't do the things, we're saying no to whatever it is we want. So I thought that was pretty cool. So here comes the half step. Okay. So the half step is, we talked about what is accountability. Accountability is the glue that ties the commitment to the results. And the half step is, and I put this half step in there when I was on my weight loss journey. Some of you know I weighed 282 pounds, and it just kind of got out of hand. I was going through a lot of stuff, and it was just a lot, and I was just put on a lot of weight. And then, but I tried many different things, but it wasn't until the day where I made the decision, which is the half step. It wasn't until I made the decision that I was going to get healthy that it all changed. So after you're clear about your why, and I got down to 199. So I went from 282 to 199 pounds in 11 months by exercise, good diet, some other stuff that just, I put in place. But if I hadn't made the decision, steps 2 through 6 wouldn't have happened in regards to health. And they're pretty much the same. I've actually got a class I'm started right on 6.5 steps to weight loss or healthy lifestyle, because really there's the same thing. So step 1, clarity, half step in there. You got to make the decision that you're going to do this, and then build the habits, manage the time, know what to say through your conversations, generate leads, spend time lead generating. Then that's just be on the phone. It can be other stuff too. Find the way that you're going to be held accountable, and then that's it. You do those things, but it all starts with, in my opinion, it all starts with the decision. We've entered this business and identifying what is it I want, what do I want out of this business, what do I want to sell, and make the decision that that's what I'm going to do. And it doesn't have to be massive. It can be medium, it can be small, whatever it is you want. It only takes one person to change your life. That's you. And Gary has here, remember, anyone can do it. Not everyone will. The question is, will you do it? So any takeaways from those 6.5 steps that you got?
Just like that, you just focus on 3 different things. So there's so many things you can do.
Yeah.
Just pick this.
Yeah. What Hubert said was, for those of you online, what Hubert said is the focusing on the 3 lead generation pillars, and the other smaller 3, but most importantly, the 3, because, we focus on one and then we go to a training and then we're like, oh, I learned that, it's the shiny penny. It's like, oh, I'm going to start focusing on that. Then you go to another training and you're like, oh, that's good. Or you read a book. It's like, oh, I'm going to start doing that. Be committed to your pillar. Okay. You can just start with having 1, and you don't have to know what 2 and 3 is going to be yet. Just pick 1. And make that your thing for 1.5 years. Not that you're not going to get business other ways, but focus on that and build a system around that. Real estate's simple. It's not easy. It sounds so simple, but you know what it requires? Time management. That's where you got to block that time in it. And then just, sometimes I feel guilty because my calendar looks so pretty. It's all color coordinated. And, where I got to be, what I got to do, what I'm supposed to be working on, and then I go home, I'm like, I didn't do any of that. I was like, but it looks good. You can't do that every day. That's not going to get me anywhere. So that's where the accountability comes in. See, they all work together, but they kind of come and gotta go in that, I can't say that word. What is a sequential order. So yeah, that was a good one. Anybody else? Any ahas, any takeaways? I wrote takeaway because I don't like aha. So I thought that was good.
I think just the steps in general to apply towards a lot of different things and goals in life.
What's that?
I think all of the steps in general
Yeah.
can apply towards a lot of different goals.
Absolutely.
Not just.
Yeah, it just doesn't, what Amy's saying is it just doesn't apply to real estate. A lot of this stuff, these 6.5 steps apply to a lot of different things. It's really the same thing with my weight loss. It's these 6.5 steps. What's the script? What am I saying to myself? That's the script. Lead generation. Well, that's getting on the daggone treadmill every day. That's the lead generation. The accountability. What's the accountability? What I did is I bought 20 bags of sugar, which equaled 80 pounds. And then every time I lost 4 pounds, I moved a bag. And I got to see that visual. And that was some accountability for me, because when I was 2 pounds from moving a bag, I wasn't going to go eat cheeseburgers because I wanted to lose 2 pounds to move that other bag. And I literally took 20 bags and moved them from one side of the sink to the other side of the sink. And then I threw that sucker over my back. Holy cow, it blew my mind. It was a cool day. So, all right. Well, let me see if there's any questions, anything else? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and you don't necessarily just have to have one why. Sometimes you got to get through one why to get to the next why, which may be a little bigger. So maybe it's now what's the first step of the why that you focus on making happen that's going to give you the opportunity to go to the next one, because we can't get to the whole picture until we do that first step. It's kind of like the 411. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just some one resource. The onething.com has a couple of resources where it's kind of like a workbook that you can fill out, and it asks you all kinds of questions, and you fill it out. And I did that whenever I was figuring out what I wanted to do after I stepped down from the OP role. And I only did like the first 3 pages, and I identified I wanted to get into coaching. And now I've started that. The onething.com. It's THE1thing.com. And there's all kinds of free resources. But if you go to the resource tab, tons of great stuff on there. But I like that one because it kind of asks you those focusing questions to help you gain clarity on what your one thing is, and what the one thing is you're going towards. So, all right. Well, everybody online, anybody online have any questions? Let me see. Oh, okay. Oh, that's awesome. Someone wrote, you just brought me so much clarity, an outline to follow, no more reinventing the wheel. Thank you. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Brandy. This was like a Red Bull, got extra energy to keep running and doing the right thing. Thanks. Yeah. Anybody, my number, I'll put it in here. If you ever have a question or just want to bounce some things off, I'm happy to. It's my favorite thing to do is talk to people about business and real estate. If I can remember my phone number, 269-6898. I'll put my email here too, Craig at. Oh, is it in there? Okay, there it is. Oh yeah, I thought ahead. It's on the screen. Well, here. There you go. So now you got it twice. But anytime, shoot me an email. That's one of the things I'm working on is emails. I need to time block emails because I get piled up on. But anyways, I appreciate you guys taking the time to be here. I love this class. I've got some other ones that I'll be teaching. So if you see me on the list to teach, it is nice to have people in the room. I've taught a class to an empty room before because one person was on Zoom and it was difficult. It was just odd to talk to an empty room. All right, guys. Thanks so much.